Okay, so you send over a bunch of research on public science funding
Yeah.
and some stuff from the NSF website. So it's like you're asking like, hey, is my tax money actually doing anything good in the world of science?
Yeah, and it's a great question. I think a lot of people wonder about it. We hear about, scientific breakthroughs and discoveries,
Yeah.
but we don't always see that journey of like the funding
Right.
to the idea, to the actual impact.
Yeah. So we're going to look at two main things. Like one, does public science funding actually boost the economy?
Okay.
Like, are we seeing jobs and companies and stuff from that?
Yeah, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah. And then beyond just dollars and cents, what are the broader benefits to society?
Right.
How does this affect like knowledge and how it's shared and innovation in different fields and like solving big problems that we're all facing?
Right.
So we've got research from China and Germany
Okay.
to see what happens when funding changes in those countries, and then some U.S.-centric stuff as well.
Okay, great.
All right, so first stop, China. A
Okay.
2020 study on their Natural Science Foundation, the NSFC, shows that when they upped the funding research, output went way up,
Okay.
especially for scientists who are earlier in their careers.
Interesting.
And this study looked at a program that's similar to what the NSF does here in the U.S., where it's
Yep.
like, hey, researchers, we trust you. Go explore what you're passionate about.
Right.
And it seems like giving scientists that freedom and the money to do it
Mm-hmm.
really paid off. But it wasn't just like churning out more papers.
Right.
The quality of the research also went up.
Yeah, so the researchers who got these bigger grants in 2011 ended up publishing on average like 2.5 more papers than those who got grants the year before.
Wow.
And their total forward citations, which is like a measure of how influential their work is,
Right.
that jumped by 31%.
That's huge.
So public funding can be a catalyst for both quantity and quality.
Okay, that's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But, before we get all like funding equals success,
Yeah.
there are some potential downsides.
Yeah, for sure.
This is where that German study comes in.
Right?
So in this 2011 study, researchers found that when university professors got more of their funding from industry,
Okay.
their publication output actually went down,
Interesting.
which makes you wonder, could public funding be really important for making sure that scientific knowledge is shared openly and doesn't get like locked away,
Right.
by companies or whatever?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, and now you might be thinking, okay, great, more publications, but are these publicly funded discoveries actually doing anything for me?
Yeah, I could see someone asking that.
Well, a 2021 study looked into exactly that.
Okay.
Researchers analyzed how scientific papers were being cited in government documents,
Okay.
news media, and patents.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what they found? A strong link between public funding levels and the public use of science,
Interesting.
which really challenges that whole idea that publicly funded research is just happening in some ivory tower somewhere.
Right.
It's just that it actually really intertwined with real-world applications and influencing decisions in all kinds of different parts of society.
Yeah.
And here's something that might surprise you. The papers that got the most attention from other scientists, the ones with the highest citations,
Right.
were also the ones most often referenced in those public domains, like government documents.
Interesting.
So it's like a stamp of approval saying, hey, this research matters,
Yeah.
not just to scientists, but to the world in general.
Right. It highlights how scientific progress and societal impact are really connected.
Yeah, and how public funding can be like a bridge between the two.
I like that analogy.
All right, let's take a pause here.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll look at some specific examples of how public funding has led to real-world benefits
Sounds good.
and explore why this kind of investment is so important for the future.
All right. I'm looking forward to it.
So we've seen how public funding can really pump up the volume on scientific output.
Yeah.
But you might be thinking, okay, cool, but what's in it for me? How does this translate to actual benefits for society?
All right. Let's get down to brass tacks. The so what of all this science stuff.
Yeah.
And a great place to start is the NSF website itself. They've got some amazing examples of how research funded by the public has led to innovations we use every day.
Like the internet. I can't imagine life without it.
Exactly. The internet actually started as a Department of Defense research project back in the 1960s. They wanted to connect computers at different research institutions. And look at it now. It's this global network that's changed everything.
Talk about a ripple effect.
Right.
And the NSF also talks about the Human Genome Project as a prime example of how public funding can lead to massive breakthroughs in healthcare.
Absolutely. That was a huge international effort to map the entire human genome.
Right.
It wrapped up in 2003, and it's given us incredible insights into the genetic basis of diseases.
Yeah.
leading to big advances in personalized medicine, genetic testing, and targeted therapies.
It's like laying the foundation for a future where we can understand, treat, and even prevent diseases that used to seem unbeatable.
Exactly. It shows what we can achieve when we pool our resources and expertise.
And let's not forget Doppler radar.
Oh, yeah. Another one the NSF highlights.
A perfect example of how scientific discoveries can have unexpected but super valuable consequences.
Yeah, it was initially funded by the U.S. Navy for military purposes. But now it's an essential tool for weather forecasting, helping us prepare for storms, protect lives, and minimize damage.
It's like science giving back in ways we couldn't have even predicted.
Oh.
Okay, so we've got these broad examples, but what about the economic side of things?
Yeah.
Can we actually link public funding to real economic benefits like jobs and new industries?
We can. Let's go back to that 2020 study on China's NSFC funding.
Okay.
Remember, they found that bigger grants led to a big jump in research output, especially for those scientists who were just starting out.
Right. And it wasn't just more papers, it was higher quality research too.
Exactly, as measured by how influential those publications were.
But how does that translate into economic growth?
Well, think about it. Imagine a company that's developing some groundbreaking new tech based on research that was publicly funded.
Oh, yeah?
That company grows, hires more people, makes money, and maybe even sparks whole new industries.
So public funding is like planting the seeds for innovation that can blossom into economic growth.
Exactly. It's not just about dollars in, dollars out.
Right.
It's about creating a fertile ground for breakthroughs that can have long-term economic benefits.
But I can already hear some people saying, why should my tax dollars go to this? Shouldn't private companies fund the research they need?
It's a valid question.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Private companies are driven by profit.
Right.
They're more likely to invest in research that has a clear path to making money and a quick return on their investment.
Okay.
This is where public funding comes in. It lets us support those areas of science that might not have immediate commercial appeal,
Right.
but could have huge benefits down the line.
You mean like basic research, exploring fundamental questions about the universe and how things work?
Exactly. That stuff doesn't usually scream moneymaker,
Right.
but it often lays the foundation for future technologies we can't even imagine yet.
It's like investing in the foundation of a house, not just the fancy furniture.
Exactly. And let's not forget, research into those big societal challenges like climate change, infectious diseases, and sustainable energy.
Yeah.
Private companies can be hesitant to invest in these areas because the payoffs might be years or even decades away.
Right.
And the benefits often extend far beyond any single company's bottom line.
So public funding plays a crucial role in supporting research that might not be commercially attractive right now, but is essential for our collective well-being.
Yeah, it's about investing in the future, not just the present.
And there's another important piece of the puzzle here, knowledge sharing.
Right.
Remember that German study we talked about earlier? It suggested that more industry funding might lead to less open publication of research findings.
Yeah, it's a legitimate concern. Companies, especially in competitive fields, might want to keep their discoveries secret to protect their intellectual property. Right. But that can actually slow down scientific progress, which thrives on the open exchange of ideas.
Right.
Public funding, on the other hand, often comes with requirements for open access and data sharing, making sure that scientific knowledge is spread far and wide and can be built upon by others.
So it's about fostering a culture of transparency and collaboration in science.
Exactly.
Allowing researchers to build on each other's work and speed up discoveries.
Yeah. It's like saying science is a team sport, not a solo race.
Exactly. And public funding helps create that level playing field where everyone benefits from the shared knowledge.
I agree.
Okay, I think we've made a pretty strong case for why public science funding is so important.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I'm sure some people are still skeptical. So in the next part, we'll tackle some of the challenges and complexities of public funding.
Okay.
And figure out how to ensure that these investments are used wisely and effectively
Sounds good.
to create a brighter future for everyone.
All right, let's do it.
So we've talked about all these great reasons why we need public science funding.
Yeah.
But let's be real, it's not perfect, right?
Right, of course not. Public funding's not like this magic solution.
Right.
There are definitely challenges and potential downsides.
Like that German study we talked about where it seemed like more funding from industry
Yeah.
might mean less focus on openly publishing the research findings.
Exactly. It reminds us that different funding sources come with different, priorities and potential trade-offs.
Right, and even with public funding, there's always the risk of bureaucracy
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and inefficiency
Uh-huh.
and even political influence. maybe steering research in certain directions.
Right.
So how do we make sure that this public funding is being used wisely and effectively? What are the safeguards?
Well, transparency is a big one.
Okay.
We need clear guidelines for how funding decisions are made.
Right.
And ways to make sure those decisions are based on, scientific merit and potential benefits for society, not political agendas or personal favors.
So it's about accountability, making sure taxpayer money is being used responsibly
Exactly.
to support research that benefits the public good.
Right.
And peer review must be really important too, right? Having experts evaluate the research proposals.
Absolutely. Peer review is essential. It's not perfect.
Right.
But it's the best way. We have to filter out flawed research.
Yeah.
And ensure that we're investing in high-quality science.
And it's not just about the initial funding decision, is it?
Not at all. We also need ongoing monitoring and evaluation to make sure the projects are on track, meeting their goals, delivering what they promise.
It's like a checkup.
Yeah, exactly.
Making sure the investment is paying off.
And just as importantly, we need to encourage open communication and knowledge sharing.
Right.
Publicly funded research should be accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
This means making the findings available through open access journals, data repositories, public presentations, things like that.
It's about democratizing knowledge, right? Making sure everyone benefits from scientific discoveries.
Exactly. And that those discoveries can inform policy decisions, inspire new innovations, empower people.
But beyond all those practical things, I think there needs to be a bigger cultural shift too.
I agree.
Like we need to really appreciate the value of science and its role in tackling the challenges we face as a society.
Science literacy is so important.
Yeah.
We need people who understand how science works, who can look at evidence critically and have informed conversations about science-related issues.
It's about moving beyond that science is just a scientist idea.
Right.
And realizing that science is woven into our culture, our economy, our future.
Yeah. And that means supporting science education at all levels.
Right.
From elementary school to grad school and beyond.
And creating opportunities for the public to engage with science.
Exactly, like through museums, science festivals, citizen science projects.
Right.
And media that makes science accessible and fun.
Because when we invest in science education and public engagement, we're not just creating future scientists.
Right.
We're creating a society that values critical thinking.
Absolutely.
Innovation and evidence-based decision-making.
Which is essential for tackling the complex challenges of the 21st century.
Exactly. So to wrap things up, I think we've shown why public science funding is so vital.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's an investment in our collective future. It drives economic growth, improves our lives, pushes the boundaries of knowledge, and helps us tackle the big problems facing humanity.
It's not just about the money.
Right.
It's about nurturing curiosity, innovation, and the pursuit of knowledge to make society better.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of public science funding.
My pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious.
Yeah, and keep exploring.